Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Miss Pooja Punjabi. Miss Pooja Punjabi is a psychologist, hypnobirthing practitioner, and personal mentor. She is MSc Psychology and is trained in very different healing modalities. She is in private practice for more than 10 years. She is also consultant at Vasant College of Engineering for last 6 years. She is catering to all age groups to aid in a wholesome development of emotions, personality, relationships, career, professional and personal growth. Welcome, Ms. Pooja Punjabi on our show. Ms. Pooja Punjabi, you have heard what Dr. Rajiv Prakash as well as Ms. Anuradha Chandan has said. And they have given their views. Now, you are catering to all age group as per your profile and aid in a wholesome development of emotions, apart from personality, relationship, etc. And being a psychologist, definitely you are dealing such types of emotional health issues. Many of them are coming, those who are in early age or youth. We would like to know your views on deteriorating emotional health of youth. Ms. Pooja Punjabi, please.
A very good morning to everyone, and thank you so much to all the elite panelists for sharing this platform with me. And Dr. Prakash and Ms. Anuradha have beautifully stated what are the causes and what are the different approaches that we can also take in with the youth. So firstly, I would just like to start by saying that we all are doing our best, okay? If it was not the best, we wouldn't be doing it. If it was something wrong, of course, we won't indulge in it. So we all are doing our best, yet there is a lot of scope for improvement, which is there, and there is space for working on ourselves and to create a better society for all of us. So having said that, the recent research has shown that 7.3% of mental health problems is faced by youth today. And that is a very large number. And mental health issues, many of them, most of them come from imbalance of emotions. So if your emotions are not taken care of, we are heading towards a lot of mental health issues as well. Now, there are various causes, as they rightly said, exposure to media, but there are pros and cons of both of it. There is an exposure to media, but there is a lot of awareness out there in the youth today. They're already aware about things, emotions, situations and events that are happening around them. They are also at the same time self-diagnosing. Now the awareness is now turning into self-diagnosis. So they read about a lot of emotions. So when they put in, I'm feeling low, I don't feel like doing anything. And what pops up on Google will be depression. What pops up on Google will be clinical problems. And they sometimes walk in and come to us and say that I am in depression. And usually my question is, who diagnosed that for you? Was it a psychiatrist? Was it an expert? And they said, no, Google said. So now Google is becoming the expert, which Google is not claiming. Yet children are self-labeling with clinical problems. And they're attaching an association with those labels are creating more emotional chaos. Because obviously, if I put in physical symptoms, headaches, dizziness, fatigue, and many a times on the Google link will pop up cancer. Obviously, I'm going to go into panic if I read that. So in the same way, if I'm putting in tiredness, not motivated to do anything, and depression pops in, or bipolar disease pops in, or any other disorder, which is catered to as clinical, they will obviously get into panic and anxiety that I'm having this problem, I'm having this problem. Just because we are facing certain emotional downfalls in that phase doesn't mean that I have the clinical problem. A problem becomes clinical only if it is consistent, if it's there for more than 6 months persistently. Then and only an expert can diagnose it for you. So please, I would like to request all the youth and the parents to stop self-diagnosing, because that will make things more easier. So let each one do our jobs. We have studied this. and we've got trained in it as a psychiatrist or as a psychologist for a particular reason. So let's not get into that field of self-association. That's one of the things that I'm noticing with the youth. The second thing is we have all the information at the tip of our fingers now. So you just take your smartphone, put your fingerprint, and you type on Google, and everything's available. So instant gratification. So if I want food, go to Zomato, order. If I want information, go to Google. I get all my research work information over there. So the lack of effort is becoming more and more. Now, parents are usually saying children are laid back, they're lazy, they procrastinate, they don't want to do. That's because you've given them this gadget called the phone or the iPad or the laptop, and it's available to them. So if things are easy for me, why would I want to make an effort? Why would I even want to get up and do something about it? So instant gratification has become a very, very common thing with the youth. They want everything in 2 minutes. So it's like Maggie noodles at all times. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for information. I want to look for relationships. Everything is out there. I want to make friends. Go on Facebook, Instagram, Tinder. There is so many things out there. So I am not putting in as many efforts as it's required because of all this that is available to me. Just because it's available doesn't mean that we are supposed to use it where it starts working against us. So when I'm talking about the gadgets or the social media or even your internet for that matter, it's a double-edged sword. It works both ways. If it's beneficial, I agree it's beneficial to a lot of extent, because during COVID, this was the medium which we used to connect to people. This was the medium that kept us balanced and sane during that time. But now it's working against us. Now we don't want to leave our comfort zone. So even if the world is getting back, we are asking to step out, but yet we are sticking to our comfort zone. Now this is my comfort zone. I don't touch it. It becomes very difficult. So now if the sword is pointed towards you and it's hurting you only. So we need to start understanding and encouraging, be it parents, be it students, be it teachers, all of us, as Ms. Anuradha rightly said, we have to work as a team. So it's not anybody's fault here. We are dealing with different circumstances. We have to adapt and move ahead with it. The next thing that is very important is, I am sure if you all have heard of snowplow. So you all know what snowplowing. So when the countries where there's a lot of snowfall, there is a truck, and in front of the truck, there's a plowing mechanism attached to it, which clears the snow on the road and the cars can pass through there. What is happening lately with parenting is parents are becoming snowplow parents. So they're clearing the pavement for the child and then asking the child to move. They're removing all the obstacles for the child and saying, "Ab chalo." But earlier, what was happening was with the youth or the earlier adults that are there, that they used to face their own problems. They had the resilience and the tolerance to face their own problems. But if the parents are going to clear the pavement for the children at all times, the child will never learn to do it on their own. The child will fail consistently because life is not like an expressway at all times. It's like the Mumbai roads where there are speed breakers, there are ditches, there are a lot of potholes, and life is going to be like this. So they in their head, it's an expressway. Now that if a problem comes, I'm not equipped to deal with it. Even though I have the skill to deal with it, I have never learned to use that skill. And hence the problems begin. So to the parents and the teachers, as Dr. Prakash was mentioning, we are not allowed to scream at them. We are not allowed to, hitting, I also agree, not raising a hand, but giving an instruction in a firm tone is allowed. That's okay. If the child is going sidelines, I as a parent have a right to bring my child to do something correct. Because if I don't do that, who will? If the teachers don't correct, who will? So a little bit of a balanced, firm hand on the child is important. So what usually I teach parents is hold the hand firmly, not tightly, where you're suffocating the child. Not loosely, where you let go completely, but a firm hold, a firm grip is important. And time to time, we as parents and teachers have to realize when to let go. Not snowplowing for them, not clearing the way from them. Because the more you clear, the more difficult it is for them as adults to deal with life situations. Because life will not be kind. Just because parents have been loving, life may not be kind at all times. We will have to face those challenges. And for that, we need to tap into our tolerance power and our resilience power. So, extremely important. And the last 2 years, COVID has been a blessing in disguise. Why? Because a lot of people have gone within and understood themselves, have understood what uh, we can do in the situation and what is adaptability. So we talk about IQ, we talk about that is intelligence quotient, then we talk about social quotient, emotional quotient. There is something called as adversity quotient as well, which is extremely important to be taught to the youth today. Adversity quotient is when you are equipped, we all are equipped to deal with adversity. So I would like to just make this point clear with a small example. Okay, a small example, that is, there's a pot of boiling water. When you add a hard potato to the pot of boiling water, what happens is it turns soft. If you put an egg in it, which is soft, ideally in the pot of boiling water, it becomes hard. And to that same pot of boiling water, when you add coffee, it merges, it becomes fragrant, and it's good to taste. So when there is adversity, who are we being? Are we becoming soft like the potato? Are we becoming hard like the egg? Or we merge with the adversity, tap into our inner power, inner skills, and bring out the best that we can from the adversity for ourselves. This is what we are going to teach our children. Because if they learn this simple lesson in life, they will go a very long way. We have prepared them. Our job is to teach them constantly how to deal with emotions, how to deal with adversity when it happens. Next, I would also like to talk about there is this constant dissatisfaction also that I've noticed in the youth today. Okay, so they're constantly dissatisfied. So as we were talking about earlier, they want to be on this high of happiness at all times, which is not possible. We can be high, we know when. So we don't want to use those mediums to be on a high at all times. We are constantly looking, the youth wants to be happy at all times, which is not possible. We are humans. We will experience all emotions. We are born for that. So we'll experience sadness, we'll experience jealousy, we'll experience anxiety, we'll experience happiness, we'll experience joy, excitement, pleasure, all of these things. But constantly one emotion, not possible. And if you're constantly feeling one emotion, then you need to get a check about it because something's off about it. If I'm constantly happy, something's not okay there. I'm trying to project something out to the world. So from inside, maybe I'm having a void. If I'm constantly angry, again, that becomes a problem. If I'm constantly anxious, again, that's a problem. So constant one emotion cannot stay with us. We are on a roller coaster ride of emotions at all times. There are dips, there are highs, there are lows, there's stability. There's all of it. We need to learn to balance and get our center with our emotions. So emotions come in full swing. They like emotions, I usually tell, are like those children who want our attention. Look at me right now. Take care of me right now. If you don't take care of me right now, I'm going to throw a big tantrum. So whenever an emotion comes, just sit with it for some time. Take care of it. Experience it. Experience it. Don't try to suppress or repress the emotion because it's going to come back and it's going to come back big. So sit with it, experience it, feel it, give it some time. Don't be in a rush to logicalize and pack it in a box and put it somewhere. No, don't do that. After a few hours or maybe days, depending on each person's personality, then logicalize it. Because if I've given the child that attention, it comes down, the tantrum comes down, and then I can logicalize. But if the child is in a tantrum, I cannot logicalize with that child. It's not possible. They will not listen and they will throw a bigger tantrum. So in the same way with an emotion, sit with it, experience it, take your time, process it. digest it, and then logicalize it. So that's very, very important. Few things that I want the youths to work on, which will help them in the long run. One thing about them is that's very good, which I'm realizing in the last few years, is the youth today themselves are approaching the experts, be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So they're aware something's not okay with me and I need to go and talk to them. So I have teenagers walking in where the parents are confused. Why do they want to go? So one thing about the parents, don't take it personally. Just because your teenager is going to an expert or a mental health expert or somebody who's going to teach them about emotions, don't take it personally. It doesn't reflect on your parenting. Let's not take everything so personally. Just because if a child is going through certain emotions and can't handle, as a parent, it's not your fault. Everything can't be on you. So parents teach us values, yes, but the child is going out in the real world and learning a lot of things. As I said, the exposure is not even outside the house. Now it's inside our house. So they can get affected by a lot of other things. So don't get offended. Don't stop them from coming to an expert. If they have decided, let's respect their choices and be in touch with the expert to understand what the teenager is going through. Second thing, lower the self-judgment. Teenagers tend to, so as I'm saying, they swing between emotions. So either they're too hard on themselves or they're completely not indifferent towards emotions. Both the areas are going to cause problems. So stop being so judgmental about yourself, because half of the battle will be won there. If we are not hard on ourselves, we are going to learn how to accept. The more we are accepting of ourselves, the more we become okay with our emotions, with our behavior, with our personality. So this is one thing, if we start practicing, it's going to help a lot. Build up tolerance and patience. Now that can happen only with delayed gratification. So I'm not saying wait 10 years to satisfy your needs and desires, but just push it a little. So right now I'm feeling uncomfortable. As I said, sit with the emotion. Don't try to make it okay right then, right now. So if I want to eat something right now and I just try and sometimes not go into Zomato and ordering, walk up to the kitchen, make an effort. So delayed gratification is going to teach me tolerance and patience. So that is extremely important. Be communicative. So sometimes, as I said, the youth tends to self-diagnose. Do not go into that habit. Rather, talk to an adult. Now, when I say if you are facing certain emotional problems, talking to your peers, yes, but that is only venting out. They're not going to be able to give you the solution because they're on the same boat like you. Some of them may be a little mature, but they will not be able to give you a full-blown guidance like an adult will be. So either if you're communicative with your parents and open to them, talk to them. If not, have a relative, have an expert come in. But communicating with an adult is important. Usually teens feel, I spoke to my friend, I'm feeling okay now. But that was only catharsis. You did what you said, what you had to say, and your friend heard you, and that doesn't resolve the problem. Just hearing it out. I need to process the information also. I need to become aware of it and implement it in action. So that is one thing I would like the teenagers to start doing. And lastly, empathy, compassion. Emotional quotient should be something that should be taught in schools. So I feel personally, that's my opinion, psychology should be a subject in school, not in college. By then, a lot of things have been messed up. As young children, it's important because psychology is not just about helping other people. It is firstly helping and knowing yourself. So till the child is out of school, if he knows themselves well, they are able to make better decisions. They are able to pave a path for themselves. So this particular thing, EQ, should be taught in school, should be openly discussed, where we are not mocking people's emotions, where we are not mocking the children. So if we work on all of this, we are creating a space for a better youth and for better adults and a better society for all of us. So yeah, today this is what I would like to share with you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pooja Punjabi, for giving again a very, very detailed analysis about the emotional health. And Pooja Punjabi, Ms. Pooja Punjabi, what stress management techniques would work best? If you can suggest one or two, time is short, so.
Okay, so constantly discussing emotions is one of the important things. We should not hesitate from talking about our emotions. तो फिर वो गुस्सा हो या प्यार हो या सैडनेस हो, किसी भी इमोशन को डिस्कस करने में हमको सोचना नहीं चाहिए, हेजिटेट नहीं करना चाहिए. इवन वल्नरेबल इमोशंस, तो गुस्सा इज वेरी एक्सेप्टेबल इन सोसाइटी. गुस्सा हम दिखा सकते हैं, पर अगर रो रहे हैं तो वो नहीं दिखा सकते, वो अकेले में करेंगे. या अगर हमें किसी चीज का बुरा लग रहा है तो वो हम अकेले में करेंगे. जिसने हर्ट किया उसको नहीं बताएंगे, हम पीछे जाके उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. सो one is your talking about your emotions. Second is assertiveness. We all as a youth have to learn, as adults also, we all have to learn to assert and communicate about what we are feeling. पहले हमको पता होना चाहिए. So awareness is extremely important. And then awareness to the other person who's causing the emotional turmoil in me. That person also should be aware. उसका मतलब ये नहीं that they have to understand it and implement it. शायद वो नहीं कर पाए, but हमने अपना communicate किया, उससे ही काफी self confidence बढ़ता है.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Pooja Punjabi.